Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and thank you for tuning in to Canal Algérie's nightly news. On to the headlines. Algeria calls for implementing new mechanisms to the AU organization to preserve the continent's interests and face up the foreign challenges. Morocco continues campaigning against Algeria by dismantling false information meant to tarnish its image. Algeria commemorates tomorrow the sad nuclear tests carried out by colonial France in southern Algeria, still impacted by its devastating effects. Welcome back. First off, tasked by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, took part in the proceedings of the 46th Ordinary Session of the African Union's Executive Council in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. In a speech on the occasion, Attaf noted that the current delicate and dangerous state of international relations requires means to preserve common interests and the unification of efforts to rehabilitate the organization, noting that the upcoming summit is an exceptional opportunity to renew the institutional structure of the organization to open new horizons for the continent's voice to be heard. Let's have a listen to our Foreign Minister's statement.
Holding this summit is an exceptional opportunity to renew the institutional edification of this continental organization and reinforce its human staff while allowing it to obtain its ambitious objectives so as to consolidate its achievement and remedy its shortcomings and open up new prospects to defend the continent's priorities regarding the foreign threats. We look forward to establishing a solid organization likely to impose itself while playing a key role in promoting its economic growth.
On the sidelines of this event, the Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf held talks with his African counterparts, starting with the Egyptian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Expatriates, followed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Mozambique and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ghana. Minister Attaf also held talks with his counterparts from Côte d'Ivoire, Burundi, Lesotho, in addition to the Minister in charge of managing the Libyan Foreign Ministry. On to the government's meeting, presided over by the Prime Minister Nadir al-Arbawi, devoted to the examination of preparations related to the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the massacres of the 8th of May 1945, decided by the President of the Republic as a National Memory Day, in addition to reviewing the advancement rate of certain projects in the framework of the Road Network Development Program in Algiers. The government listened to a presentation on the promotion of entrepreneurship professions and self-employment within the framework of the new work plan, as well as the promotion of the new entrepreneurship spirit among graduates of vocational training institutions. The government additionally listened to a presentation on analyzing laboratories, quality control and prospects for their development, which included a series of operational measures aimed at improving quality control mechanisms for products, combating fraud and protecting consumers. The government also reviewed the various measures taken to ensure the supply of national market with basic and widely consumed goods. Finally, the government listened to a presentation on the special measures operating the national fleet for maritime transport of passengers and goods at its maximum capacity and improving the quality of services provided to users, while emphasizing the importance of implementing the reform project for maritime transport institutions. During his participation in the ministerial session of the 6th Arab Regional Forum for Disaster Risk Reduction in the capital of Kuwait, the Minister of Interior, Local Collectivities and Territorial Planning, Brahim Marad, confirmed Algeria's readiness to provide support and assistance in disaster relief to civil protection teams that have obtained the international recognition and conformity certificate. This and the forum's work culminated in a closing statement that stressed the need to develop a comprehensive approach to reduce the risks of natural disasters on Arab societies. On the sidelines of the proceedings, Ibrahim Marad met with the Special Representative of the Secretary-General of the United Nations for Disaster Risk Reduction, Canal, and the head of the United Nations Office to Reduce Disaster Risks. He had also meetings with the Acting Prime Minister and Minister of Interior, Sheikh Fahd Youssef Saoud Al Sabah, during which both parties praised the level of bilateral relations between the two countries and stressed the two sides' determination to enhance joint cooperation in areas of common interest. And for the umpteenth time, Morocco is castigating Algeria, pretending to have engaged soldiers and members of the Polisario Front within the Bashar al-Assad regime fighters, and requested their release during the visit paid by the Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf to Syria. Pure and poor allegations of a bankrupt Moroccan regime using all means to tarnish Algeria's image. More insights with Salim Mirar.
The Arabic proverb, as much pain as a cries, perfectly reflects the state of mind of Algeria's western neighbor, who have been unable to conceal their immense dismay in the wake of the recent visit paid to Syria by Ahmed Attaf, Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Affairs. This deep pain is faithfully expressed in the outcry orchestrated by the kingdom's loyalists, who had recourse to social media and various propaganda platforms to spread slender and groundless allegations. Their efforts, an archetype of the big lie theory, with transparent falsehoods disseminated on a large scale. Yet Morocco has become the victim of its own deception, trapped in a cycle of its own illusions. Only weeks ago, the same mouthpieces were peddling the absurd notion that Algerian army soldiers and Polisario Front fighters were engaged alongside the Bashar al-Assad regime. Now they evoke a new imaginary story claiming that Minister Ahmed Attaf allegedly requested the release of these fictional soldiers during his meeting with Syrian President Ahmed Bashar, supposedly denied, a pure fabrication meant solely to tarnish Algeria's image, for which all means seem to be allowed. The meeting between Minister Ahmed Attaf and the Syrian President was exceptional in every way, far from the lies conveyed and repeated by Morocco. The meeting, as revealed by the heads of diplomacy of the two brotherly countries, centered on reaffirming Algeria's solidarity and support for Syria in this crucial phase of its history, while it is working tirelessly to bring together all its people around the unifying and inclusive national project that will rebuild its national institutions and meet its aspirations for peace, security, development and prosperity. Once again, it's a new desperate attempt denoting the despair of those who are annoyed to see all ambiguity and doubt about the depth of Algerian-Syrian relations fade away. Those who have become fearful of any Algerian diplomatic action, pretending to be the greatest concern and the supreme objective of Algeria. To them, the answer is clear. The dogs bark and the caravan moves forward, as the Arabic saying goes.
The Moroccan lobby continues to spread false information regarding Algeria, conducting a propaganda campaign via its journalists and supporters in the French far right, as it is the case of the Moroccan Souada Tayyib, the head of the Monte Carlo International Channel. Madan Maafa with more.
The Moroccan lobby continues its harmful efforts to attack Algeria, spreading slander and falsehoods to tarnish its image. The Makhzen spares no expense in listing so-called journalists in a well-orchestrated propaganda campaign. One such figure is the Moroccan journalist Souada Tayyib, who recently broadcast false information about Algeria. Her role in this disinformation strategy serves the interests of the Moroccan regime. This is not the first attack of its kind. Before her, Rachid Mbarki was dismissed from a French TV channel for spreading content influenced by pro-Makhzen networks. The Moroccan lobby's pressure tactics and scandals are now an open secret, repeatedly exposed for bribing officials, including members of the European Parliament, to advance its agenda. These deceitful maneuvers show the Moroccan lobby's growing influence in France, backed by far-right figures long supportive of the monarchy and hostile to Algeria.
Je pense effectivement qu'il y a une fraction dans la société française qui a toujours été en faveur de la monarchie.
A faction in French society has long supported the Moroccan monarchy, especially on the Western Saharan issue, driven by influential networks. The growing power of hard-right media, underestimated for years, now heavily impacts France's political landscape.
France is right, despite its hardline stance on immigration, remains Morocco's staunchest supporter, an alliance likely driven by deeper pro-Zionist interests.
In order to strengthen cooperation and exchange of experience, the Omani Minister of Health and the delegation that accompanied him undertook this Wednesday a visit to the pharmaceutical production unit of Al-Harrach. On site, the delegation listened to a presentation on the Saidal Group and the pharmaceutical production laboratory under this unit. Bilateral cooperation in this field of the pharmaceutical industry was also discussed. The Omani Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources visited the laboratories of the Vitro Plant Algeria Company in the Beni Tamo region in Blida. These are the most developed laboratories in the field with a specialization in fruit trees. The company uses a technique of tissue culture, which allows the cultivation of plant tissues in sterile conditions. It holds 2 certifications of sustainable agricultural practice. On to the operational report of the People's National Army's activity in the past week. In the context of the fight against terrorism, during a quality operation in Borj Beji Mukhtar in the 6th Military Region, detachments of the PNA recovered a Kalashnikov submachine gun, a machine gun, a quantity of ammunition, and other items, while other detachments of the PNA arrested 7 support elements to terrorist groups in different regions across the national territory. In the framework of the fight against organized crime and the continuation of the tireless efforts aimed at countering the scourge of drug trafficking in our country, combined detachments of the PNA intercepted, in coordination with the different security services in operations across the military regions, 45 drug traffickers and averted attempts to introduce 8 quintals and 32 kilograms of processed kief through the borders with Morocco, while 33 kilograms of cocaine and over 306,000 psychotropic tablets were seized. In Tamras, Borj Beji Mukhtar, and Ingizem, detachments of the People's National Army arrested 69 individuals and seized 22 vehicles, 117 generators, 106 jackhammers, 21 metal detectors, as well as quantities of mixture of raw gold and stones, explosives, detonation tools, and other equipment used in illegal gold mining operations. On the other hand, 27 other individuals were arrested, Kalashnikov submachine gun, 9 hunting rifles, over 51 liters of fuel, as well as 7 quintals of tobacco, 122 tons of foodstuffs intended for smuggling and speculation were seized during separate operations across the national territory. Similarly, border guards sorted at the level of our national coast attempts at illegal immigration and proceeded to save 225 individuals aboard traditionally made boats, while 263 illegal immigrants of different nationalities were arrested across the national territory and communique. Coming up in our news edition. The protest movements continue in Morocco with huge demonstrations calling for justice and better living conditions. Welcome back. Tomorrow is the sad anniversary of the very first nuclear explosion conducted by colonial France on Algerian soil. The first French nuclear bomb, named Gerboise Bleu, was dropped in the Regan region in the Algerian Sahara, a region which until this day suffers from the consequences of a catastrophe, the power of which exceeded 5 times that of Hiroshima nuclear bomb. Manan Mafa explains.
Over 6 decades ago, a powerful explosion shook the Algerian desert. On February 13, 1960, France conducted its first nuclear test, Gerboise Bleu, or Blue Jerboa, marking the start of 17 similar tests. These left a lasting radioactive legacy, with effects still felt to this day. France justified them by claiming the Sahara was uninhabited, despite being home to populations settled there for centuries.
The Algerian Revolution spread to the Sahara, reaching the Malian and Nigerian borders in what was then called southern France. Despite the Chad and Mauritius lines, the region remained the key arms route. France's battles and Timimoun failed to isolate the north from the Sahara, revealing a populated land with fugaras and oases. Seeing this, France used this area to study the effects of its nuclear tests on human, animals, nature, and resources.
Qsarti Madanin, near the Regan nuclear test site, still bears the heavy consequences of radiation exposure. Many residents developed severe illnesses, including cancer, and even later generations continue to suffer.
As you can see, my brother is a victim of the nuclear tests. My father had traveled to the region and bought an object home. Later on, my brother was born disabled and is now 44 years old, still suffering. My father remained bedridden for 9 years.
Today, Regan and its surroundings are experiencing a revival. Development programs have been launched to improve living conditions and repair the damage left by French colonization.
France, which claims to defend human rights, has not told the truth. The region was not empty. It had a settled population and a thriving life. Yet France falsely declared it uninhabited.
To preserve memory and highlight the devastations caused by nuclear tests, a museum was established in Regan. It documents the crimes and lasting consequences of a state that wrongly presented itself as a model of civilization.
Incredible images indeed. Public discontent continues to grip Morocco amid the deepening crisis. Faced with government indifference, Moroccans struggling with poverty and repression keep taking to the streets, demanding their rights and denouncing the normalization policy with the Zionist entity. More details with Melissa Lila Balaman.
The Makhzen continues to use its conventional methods, repression and violence, to silence the voices rising against its policy of normalization with the Zionist entity. As the social tension mounts, the Moroccan forces double its arbitrary arrest and intimidation against activists, journalists and university students, who keep denouncing these unjust government policies which only worsen the citizens' living conditions.
The corrupt and their allies should be the ones getting arrested, not those who are simply voicing their opinion. Once again, this government has demonstrated that it is a government of censorship and freedom of speech suppression, a government that denies the 2011 constitution.
The split between the government and people is widening, an ever-deepening gap fueling a growing sense of despair and anger among Moroccans, the vast majority of whom are sinking into precariousness. They denounce the soaring prices, the erosion of purchasing power and the deterioration of living conditions.
No matter how patient I try to be, I can't take it anymore. My son is sick and I can't afford to treat him. It is a real ordeal.
Amid the deep and multifaceted crisis, Moroccans are caught between a rock and a hard place, squeezed between repressive policies and a worsening socio-economic hardship.
The European Union's Special Representative for the Middle East peace process called for the full implementation of the ceasefire agreement between Hamas and the Zionist entity in Gaza. For its part, the Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Observatory has accused the Zionist entity of committing genocide in the Palestinian enclave by depriving Palestinians of their basic needs to survive in the illegal besiege on them. Located in the province of Guelma, the majestic Hammam Dabbagh waterfall is famous for its steaming thermal waters and stunning scenery, a heaven of relaxation and well-being. It attracts thousands of visitors each year and offers a valuable opportunity for tourism development in Algeria. Let's discover more with Melissa Lila Balaman.
In the province of Guelma, the majestic Hammam Dabbagh waterfall is an iconic tourist site, renowned for its thermal waters full of therapeutic benefits. Among the hottest in the world, these waters flow from the top of limestone rocks, creating a stunning curtain of water that makes this place a heaven for lovers of natural healing. I come from Tbissa and I had the opportunity to visit this natural wonder. I'm truly delighted to explore this beautiful region and appreciate the hospitality of its people. It's a fascinating place with breathtaking landscapes. We traveled from Skikda to come spend the weekend here. With its enchanting beauty, Hammam Dbagh draws thousands of visitors each year, offering a valuable opportunity for the development of tourism in Algeria. Hello, I'm a visitor from Bangkok. The atmosphere here is wonderful and the locals are incredibly kind and welcoming. I'm thrilled to discover this place with this breathtaking scenery. We came here for the weekend to enjoy the hammam and its many benefits. We traveled from Blida to explore new landscapes and the view is simply magnificent. The Hammam Dbagh waterfall is a beautiful destination where natural splendor meets therapeutic benefits, making it a must-visit landmark.
The end. Thank you for watching. Take care.